Environmental Justice Lab. I'm your host, Dr. Lesley Joseph. Thank you so much for joining me. And I had to rush. I'm in the lab at USC right now, but I had to jump on the microphone really quick, record something because we had a big story over the last week that I really want to talk about and get into and share with you because I think it's really important to understand what's happening and to think about what it means for particularly research moving forward. So here's the story. You know what? I'm going to read it. I wrote it down. This is from the Associated Press on June 11th, so last week. They reported that Dr. Kimberly Terrell, an environmental scientist and the director of community engagement at the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic, resigned. She just resigned. And she said that she resigned. Let's see what she said. The article says that she resigned, citing censorship from university leaders who had warned that her advocacy and research exposing the Louisiana petrochemical industry's health impacts and racial disparities in hiring had triggered blowback from donors and elected officials. That's what she said. That's why she resigned. That's why she is no longer doing work at the Tulane University Environmental Law Clinic. So let's just set the stage, just really quickly. The Tulane University Environmental Law Clinic, led by Dr. Kimberly Terrell, has been doing great work looking at the environmental justice issues all across Louisiana, but specifically in what we've called Cancer Alley. Now, you can go back to last year's episodes, learn a lot more about Cancer Alley. Just real quickly, Cancer Alley is about an 85-mile stretch of road, of land on the southern part of Louisiana going into Mississippi. And it has about 200, maybe 250 chemical plants along that corridor. And this area is known for having high rates of cancer, high rates of asthma, high rates of respiratory illness, high rates of all of these different negative health outcomes. And this law clinic was at the forefront, they probably still are, at the forefront of understanding those impacts, reporting those impacts, doing the research to help us understand those impacts as just observers and environmental justice advocates and researchers. And more importantly, advocating for things to get better. So they didn't just do the research and publish it, go back to their rooms and do another study. They actually did the research, published it, went out in the community and fought to have things done differently to protect the people in those areas. That's what they did. That's what they did at Tulane University in this law clinic. And I will say, just as someone in academia, somebody who does this research, who is really passionate about uplifting communities, this is what we want people to do. This is what we want to see. We want to see universities supporting clinics and research centers and programs and initiatives that help our communities, that build them up, that allow them to flourish, that keep them from dealing with these kinds of environmental hazards disproportionately over and over and over again. This is what we really want. That's what we want. And this law clinic at Tulane University was doing that. This young researcher, Dr. Kimberly Terrell, she was doing that. She was publishing her work. She's doing the data work. She's in the community. She has the respect of the community. And she's just giving you the facts, the cancer rates, the hiring practices, the chemicals in the environment, the impact that it has. That's all she's doing. That's all this clinic is doing. And she resigned last week because she says, and I believe her, of course, that she's being pressured by elected officials in Louisiana, by donors at the university to stop doing this work, to stop doing research that just exposes what's actually happening. Nothing inflammatory, nothing, made up or manufactured, These are just facts on the ground. She's not giving her opinions. She's not giving her perspective or views. She's just telling you what it is in this area. And she resigned because she knew that she wouldn't be able to continue doing that work because people are pressuring the law clinic to stop, pressuring the law clinic to discontinue this type of environmental justice research. Here's another quote from the article. It said that according to emails, university leaders wrote that the work of the law clinic had become an impediment to a Tulane redevelopment project reliant on support from state and private funders. The clinic represents communities that are fighting the chemical industry in court. And in her letter, Dr. Terrell wrote that she was told that the governor would threaten to veto any funding from the state unless Tulane's president, quote unquote, did something about the clinic. Come on, this is just straight bullying. So now Tulane's trying to do something on campus around the area. The governor of Louisiana says, I'm not going to let you get any money until you do something about that clinic over there. Well, what clinic? He means the clinic that is exposing the chemical industry for what it's doing to the people that live in Louisiana. That's what he's talking about. And what's so upsetting is not so much that he disagrees with the work, because that's fine. You don't have to like the work. You don't have to enjoy the work, but it's a university. A university is free, or at least it's supposed to be free, to explore, to understand the world, to collect information and to report on it in ways that help us understand what's happening around us. They have the freedom to do that. It's called academic freedom, right? That's why I got into the whole academic space, because I want that freedom. I want to be able to go out and ask questions and get answers and to make changes that improve the lives of people all around. That's what universities are there for. They're training students to be able to go out and be productive, helpful citizens, and they're creating new knowledge and deeper understanding of issues to help us deal with them appropriately. That's what this law clinic is doing. And whether you like it or not, or whether you feel like it's helpful or not, is not really the question. The question is, will a law clinic at a university be allowed to do research that exposes, that's what it did, it exposed the harm that was being done by this industry. Because I promise you, if their research exposed how much the industry was helping the community and how much the industry was supporting the community, they'd have no problem with that going out being published. They would be encouraged to do more. They'd be encouraged to keep going. They'd be encouraged to keep publishing, that kind of work. But when we learn that they're being harmful and hurting people, especially hurting people disproportionately, not just everybody, but a very specific group of people. In Louisiana, specifically in Cancer Alley, we're talking about Black residents, Black communities, Black neighborhoods that are being impacted by these industries. And so when the law clinic just gives you the information and just provides the studies and provides the data, they do it carefully. It's peer reviewed. It's examined carefully to make sure that they didn't make up any numbers. They didn't change anything wrongly. They didn't do any weird statistics to try to make it look like something else. They did the work the way it needed to be done because they're academics. That's what they do for a living. The governor comes in and tries to shut them down because he doesn't like it, because the donors don't like it. And I'm sure the donors are these industries, or they have some connection to these industries. That's fine too. You don't like that either. But the university and its research centers and its law clinics and its program officers and managers, they are free to explore these questions. And if the question is how or if these industries are impacting the communities that are in this area, What can we learn about that? They get to find out. They get to do the research. They get to publish the research that tells us. They don't get to be bullied into doing something else because a donor or an elected official or a prominent individual just doesn't like what they're learning about what's happening in the area. That's just what it is. And it's unfortunate that this law clinic in particular is coming under such scrutiny and such harm from above, because they do amazing work. If you listen to our Cancer Alley episodes, most of that information, most of that understanding came from this law clinic. I cite them over and over again. They're right there on the ground in Louisiana, talking to the people, collecting the data, getting the information, doing an amazing job doing the research. And the governor threatens to keep funding from the whole entire university over it. I mean, you have elected officials saying that if you don't do something about this clinic, there's going to be a problem. I mean, that's not how universities should function. That's not how academia should function. That's not how research works. When you do research and you learn something, you present it. And if you don't like what you're learning, then you can do something about it. Right? So nobody's talking about the fact that these industries, these chemical industries, aren't doing anything to address what her law clinic is exposing. That's what should be happening. Instead of her resigning, instead of her saying that she can't do her work because of this type of overreach and censorship, that's what is censorship, the governor should be looking at the funders and saying, hey, why is this happening? Why are the people in my state suffering like this by the hands of these facilities? What are you doing to fix this? That's what you should have been doing. That's what should be happening when you get higher and higher up in these organizations, at these universities. The president shouldn't turn to the researchers and try to shut them up. The president should turn to the industries and to the donors and to the funders and say, hey, what are you doing? And how are you going to fix this? How are we going to come together and actually make this place better? Because my university is showing me things that are unsettling. Higher cancer rates among these communities in this area, higher rates of heart disease, higher rates of all these illnesses. What are you doing about that? That's what should happen. That's what should be done. That's where the conversation should go. But instead, it's going to this law clinic. It's going to making sure this law clinic does not do the kind of work that just shows us what these industries are doing and how they're hurting people. That's what it's come to. That's what we're doing. I'm going to read some more from this article. This article is really well done. It's from the AP. I'll put a link in the description so you can read it too. In a May 21st audio recording, the provost said that when Tulane leadership met with elected officials, they were pressed, they being the Tulane leadership, they were pressed by the elected officials as to why, quote, Tulane has taken a stand on the chemical industry as harming communities. And this, quote, left people feeling embarrassed and uncomfortable. Are you serious? First of all, it's not a stand or a position. It's a reality. The reality is the chemical industry in Louisiana, particularly along that corridor called Cancer Alley, is harming communities. If you're part of Tulane leadership, when they tell you that, when they ask you why you, quote unquote, took a stand, you turn to them and you say, we didn't take a stand. We did research that shows that that is the case, and we don't like our residents being harmed by these industries. Don't get uncomfortable. Don't feel embarrassed. Why are you embarrassed? They're the ones harming the people. They're the ones hurting the communities. They're the ones creating these pockets throughout Louisiana that are uninhabitable. But you feel embarrassed. As a Tulane leader, you feel embarrassed? Well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't feel embarrassed. You should be proud of your university for uncovering these injustices. You should be proud of your law clinic for doing the kind of work that only it could do. There's no other clinic in Louisiana doing work like this. There isn't. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the staffing. They don't have the support to do this work. It should be a proud moment for you. If you are in Tulane's leadership group, core, whatever it's called, and an elected official, some congressperson, a mayor, I don't know, the governor comes to you and says, "Oh, it looks like Tulane is taking a stand and suggesting that the chemical industry is harming communities." You say, well, is it true or false? Did you read the study that our university commissioned, that our researchers put together, that's been peer reviewed, that's been vetted, that's been discussed throughout the world? Have you even read it? Because the fact is, you are hurting the communities. The fact is, the research shows, it's not my opinion, it's not their perspective, it's not a subjective thought, it's data-driven, data research that demonstrates that the chemical industry is hurting the community. It is. It has been, it currently is, and it continues to. Now, of course, I get it. I mean, you want these people to give you money. So if they don't like what they're hearing, they may not give you the money to do the stuff on campus, to do your projects, to expand your reach and your influence. I understand that. And so maybe you don't come off so heavy-handed in terms of what you believe, quote unquote, believe, where you take a stand, but you can stand behind the data. You can stand behind your researchers. You can present to them the evidence and let them decide. We're taking a stand with the data. We stand with the truth. Here's the information. Here's the data. Here is what we've published. You tell me what you're reading. You tell me what you see here when you go through these documents, when you look at these graphs, when you talk to the people that live there, when you go to these meetings. You don't have to take a stand in any meaningful way if you're a university. All you do is just point them to the data, point them to the literature, point them to the study, and say, hey, I understand that you have some concerns about what you have been hearing. Here's the study. It was published in this journal, this scientific journal, because we do research here at Tulane University. Here you go. You can just read it. We can discuss whatever you like. It's not a problem for us. We're trying to do business, but if this is a problem for you, go ahead and read it. You let me know what you think, because this is just data. This is research, right? You can take a stand like that. I wouldn't, because people are getting hurt and people are being harmed by what this industry is doing. But if you don't want to take that route, that's fine. What you don't do is try to squeeze and suppress the only law clinic that's doing the work, the only place where this work can get done at your university. That's what you don't do. You don't go to the director and tell the director to stop publishing this, stop talking about it, stop presenting this work to people in different settings. That's her job. because she's a researcher. She's a scientist. Just like every other scientist, they go to the lab, they do their experiments, do their research, they publish it, they talk about it. That's just what we do. And if she doesn't do that, then she's not doing her job. And why would she even be there? What do you want her to do? She's trained and she's equipped and she's very capable of doing this kind of work. Well-funded research, by the way, very well-supported research. And she's a household name in the environmental justice world. Why would you suppress that kind of scholarship, that kind of research? We all know why. We know why. Because the money is talking to you, and the people with the money don't like what you're saying, so you're trying to get on their good side by crushing the law clinic. It's a bad move. It's a bad move. And so it's really frustrating to know that a research entity at a university can be treated this way just for doing research at the university. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. They're just doing research. It just so happens that the research is community driven and is impacting our understanding of what's happening out in the real world. And because some people don't like for us to know about that, they're trying to censor and suppress the truth. It's really unfortunate. And the worst part about it is that I think that this kind of thing will happen more and more. This will happen more and more often. And it will happen to more and more people who are in this environmental justice, climate change, disparity type of research, right? Equity research. There's going to be more and more people and more corporations that come against people and places and researchers and universities that do this type of research, that expose disparities. We're talking about environmental justice here. It could be education. It could be health. It could be economics. It could be political engagement. It could be incarceration, criminal justice. It could be anything. Just doing the research, just showing the numbers, talking about the realities can get you crushed and censored this way, right? This is what happens when academic freedom and corporate interests, donor funding collide. They crash into each other. And you say, well, which one are we going to take? Which way are we going to go? We're going to go with the corporate money and crush all of this academic stuff you're doing at the university? Or are we going to support our researchers and our academic institutions and their freedom to explore and research real issues to the detriment of our relationship with these corporate interests? I wish we didn't have to choose, but if you're a university, let's just be honest. Why do you exist? You don't exist to serve the corporate interests. The corporate interests exist to support the university, to support the state. We all work together for a better future. And so if me saying to your corporation, hey, our research shows us that your operations are hurting people, don't get mad at us for pointing it out. Fix it. Fix it. Do something different. Or at the very least, apologize for it. Or at the very least, provide some support to the people that you're harming. Do something other than, well, if you don't take care of that law clinic, we're not giving you any money. So you just keep polluting, you keep hurting people, and we have to be okay with it because you have money? Come on, that's not how that works. That's not how this works. And universities, look, Tulane University makes me sad to see how y'all handle this. Tulane University. I'm sure you're like every other university. They're all the same, right? We all talk about what universities represent, right? We're committed to student success. We're committed to academic freedom. We're committed to making positive impacts in our communities, on the society. Universities, we are here. We're a public good. We're here for the people to come, to grow, to learn, and to go, and to be amazing blanks, right? Lawyers, doctors, engineers, historians, writers, actors, singers, artists, whatever you want to be. The university, we are here for you. That's what we tell them. That's what we say. When I was working out in the industry, working out in the consulting world, I wanted to come into academia because I believed that. I believed that there was academic freedom. I believed there was an opportunity to really change the lives of students, young people, to get people moving in the right direction and do things that are positive in our community. That's why I got into it. That's why I'm here. But of course, you get into it and then you learn. And what are we learning with this incident here? With Dr. Kimberly Terrell being, well, she resigned, but definitely being pushed in the wrong direction. What we learn is these universities are less like free thinking institutions and they're more like corporations. That's the truth. And that's the thing that's hurtful to think about, that they would operate like corporations. They would think like corporations, that they would conduct themselves in the same way corporations do, because corporations only want one thing. That's for larger profits and smaller costs. And so don't think that a corporation is coming to a university to have a partnership because of the mutually beneficial nature of the relationship, so we can both serve the university's purpose to uplift students. Don't think that for 1 second. What's actually happening is a corporation is seeing a way to market itself in a way that enhances their bottom line, that increases their revenue, their profits, and their exposure. Let's just be clear about that. Let's just be honest about that. And you know what? Universities are doing the same thing. They have the same approach, the same ideas, right? Universities are becoming, especially in the kind of STEM world, they're becoming less about academic freedom and more about transforming themselves into what I call the R&D divisions of their local industries. That's what's really happening. And that's okay. They want to pay you to do research for them. Give us the money. Here's your research. And we can exchange it. No problem. We're still graduating students. We're still doing good work. But when it collides with the realities that these clinics and these centers are showing us in terms of environmental injustice, environmental inequity, environmental inequality, well, the university has to pick a side. You have to stand on one side or the other. And you can't stand on the corporation's side who feels like that kind of research hurts their image, hurts their bottom line, hurts their ability to grow as a company, and then turn around and say you support academic freedom. You can't do both. Where are you going to stand? What are you going to do? How are you going to manage that type of situation? If your default setting is to crush the researcher to maintain the corporate relationship, then you're not being a university. You're not operating the way universities should. And you shouldn't even call yourself a university if that's what you're doing. You shouldn't do that. What you should do is just say what you are, that you're university incorporated and you're here to make money and to build corporate relationships that bring in more money. That's all you're doing. Because if you truly support academic freedom, if you truly support independent inquiry into the social, economic, and in this case, environmental problems around us, then you got to let us do our work. Let us do our job. And don't step in and try to suppress it because it makes one of your partners uncomfortable, because it makes one of your corporate donors sad, because they don't like to hear about the issues that are being caused by members of their industry. That's not how this works. You're either for academic freedom or you're not. And of course, this could be discussed in all kinds of different contexts, right? I mean, I'm focusing on environmental justice. That's where I am. That's what this story is about, because this amazing researcher resigned her job as a director of the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic because of the way the university treated the research they were doing that was highly regarded, that was community focused and driven, that was upstanding in an academic sense. Like, it wasn't shoddy, poorly done research. This is high quality research that's published in high quality journals, because the elected officials and the private funders didn't like it. They didn't like it. And so let me just say this. I get really upset, really frustrated when these kind of things happen. And I always wonder if I'm next. Like, I published that study. Are they going to come for me? Are they going to say that I'm doing the same thing, harming their relationships and interests? I mean, I hope nobody would say that, but it's possible. So this is what I'm going to say. To Dr. Kimberly Terrell, I don't know if you're listening. I hope you are. If you are, please come on the podcast. I would love to talk to you about this, because it's really infuriating to me. I can't take the fact that you resigned because of this environment that was created around you. I'm so sorry that happened. And if you're listening, thank you for your commitment to environmental justice. Thank you for your research. Your research has done so much to help people like me over here in South Carolina understand what's happening in Louisiana, to understand what's happening in Cancer Alley, and to really have the right frame for what's occurring in the environmental justice space. So thank you for that. I know you're going to land on your feet when you have the commitment that you have, the values that you have. It's going to be better. I'm sure it hurts now to resign from this position, but I know things are going to get better. I just know it. And to all the environmental justice researchers out there, wherever you are, whatever you're listening to this, keep pushing, keep working, keep supporting your local EJ communities. Keep giving them sound science, right? Rigorous academic work. Keep engaging the community. Keep being active. Keep speaking out. Continue to use your voice, your research, your support system to uplift these communities, right? Because we're not going anywhere. And as long as there's environmental injustice in the world, we're here to fight against it. We're here to push against it. We don't want to see any community, any population, any group of people disproportionately impacted by some of these environmental hazards, these injustices, anywhere in the world. And so we need you to keep going. If you're in a university, look, it can get difficult. It can get challenging, especially if you're in the United States. At this point in time, our current government doesn't like environmental justice research. They've made that very clear. They're not going to support it financially. They're not going to promote it at all. They're not going to be interested whatsoever in uncovering these types of issues. But there's always a way through. It's not the first time people have been upset with us for doing this kind of research, and it won't be the last time. We remain flexible. We remain, vigilant. We continue to do the work because the work needs to be done. The communities that are suffering need your voices, need your research abilities to help build them up. And so keep doing it. We're still here, and we're going to keep fighting. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep doing the work, and keep uplifting each and every community that's been forgotten, that's been abandoned, that's been sacrificed for other interests, for other considerations. We will remain and continue to lift you up. And that is the episode for today. Thank you so much for listening. I am Dr. Lesley Joseph. This is the Environmental Justice Lab podcast, where we are for the people and the planet. We'll see you next time.